Hello students, this is Professor C. Tanuja Bhatti from Jain College of Engineering, Department of MBA, Belagavi. Today we will be seeing a revision video lecture on Module 3 from subject Indirect Taxation, that is time and value of supply. As we already know that this subject covers 60% theory and 40% problems, so my initial video lectures will be only on those modules where problems are covered. So already we have covered module 2 levy and collection of tax in my previous video lecture, which I have named it as IT problems module 2. Today we will be dealing with module 3 time and value of supply. So let us see what are the problems that are covered under this module. There are simple problems on time of supply, which is time of supply for goods is separate, time of supply for services is separate. Then we have place of supply and value of supply. Since this module is a little vast, I will be dividing this module into different video lectures. So today we will be seeing time of supply for goods. And I have named this module as IT Problems Module 3.8. Moving ahead. So basically my today's video lecture will be on Module 3 Time and Value of Supply, where we will be seeing simple problems on time of supply in case of goods. Because there is a difference between goods and services. What are goods? Goods are nothing but all kind of movable property. Okay, that excludes money and securities. Because money, when you are dealing with money, it doesn't mean that there is a supply. So goods means all kind of movable property that includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass, which are agreed to be served under a contract. But remember, goods always excludes money and securities. And services is means anything other than goods. So since goods and services are two different concepts, so time of supply will be different for goods and different for services. Today we will be seeing only time of supply in case of goods. And as per your video syllabus, you just have simple problems on these concepts. Moving ahead. Now what is the meaning of time of supply? We are going to say time of supply for goods, but before that, it is very important that you will understand what is the meaning of time of supply. So time of supply is nothing but the point in time when the liability to pay the GST tax arises. Means, suppose you, for example, you have supplied the goods, you have supplied the goods, you have issued the invoice, but what is the time or point in time where you are supposed to pay the taxes to the government, where you are supposed to be liable to pay the taxes to the government? See, as you all know, the GST is payable on supply of goods and services. We know what is the meaning of goods. Goods means every kind of movable property but excludes money and securities. And we know that services means anything other than goods. Okay. But at what period or what point of time does the GST becomes payable? You are supplying goods, you are providing the services, you are collecting the taxes from the respective recipient or the purchaser. But when does the liability to pay the taxes to the government arises? Does it become payable when an agreement to supply of goods and services is made? Yes. Or when the goods are shipped, or when the services are provided, or when the invoice is issued, or when the payment is made. So when should the taxes be paid to the government is a question mark. There are so many events. Maybe when the booking is made, when the order has been placed, or when the services are being provided, when the invoice has been issued, or when the payment is being received. So which point among so many points, which point of time does the liability to pay taxes arises is nothing but time of supply. Okay. Now, today we will be seeing time of supply of goods. Remember, it is covered under section 12. So, section 12 of the GST Act speaks about time of supply of goods. Now, there is different scenarios of time of supply. That is, under section 12 subsection 2, under forward charge, what is going to be the time of supply? Under reverse charge, what is going to be the time of supply? Under vouchers, what is going to be the time of supply? And suppose if you are not able to determine the time of supply, then what should you assume the time of supply to be? And in some residual cases. But before moving ahead, it is very important that you will understand what is forward charge, what is reverse charge, what are vouchers. So let us see. So forward charge is nothing but where the liability to pay tax is by the supplier of the goods and services. Forward charge means nothing but the liability to pay the GST is on the supplier of goods and services. So in this chart you can see that the supplier of goods and services is supplying the goods to the recipient, okay, and what is the supplier doing? Collecting the taxes from the recipient, and the supplier is liable to pay to the tax to the government. So forward charge means where the supplier is collecting the tax from the recipient and paying it to the government. So it is called forward charge. So suppose in such cases, what is going to be the time of supply? This we will be seeing under section 12 subsection 2. Let us see under reverse charge. Under reverse charge means the liability to pay tax is by the recipient of goods or services. That means the supplier of goods and services will supply the goods but does not collect taxes. Only he will supply the goods and take the basic amount of the whatever is the value of the goods and services, but he will not charge tax. He will not collect the tax from the recipient. Recipient will directly pay it to the government. So government liable to pay tax to the government is with the recipient in case of reverse charge. So very simple, under forward charge, the supplier of goods and services is supposed to pay the tax to the government, whereas in reverse charge, the recipient of goods and services is supposed to pay the tax to the government. Now, in reverse charge, there are few cases that is being notified by the government that if there is a supply of this particular goods or particular services, then only the recipient is liable to pay the tax to the government. Otherwise, generally forward charge is followed. But only on few notified goods and services, government is saying the recipient has to pay the tax to me directly and the supplier will not pay the tax. Okay. Next, let us see what are these vouchers. Vouchers are nothing but gift vouchers. For example, you go to Peter England and you do a shopping worth rupees 5,000. So sometimes there is a scheme that if you are going to shop for a value of more than 5,000, you will be getting a gift voucher. So gift vouchers are nothing but it is an instrument where there is an obligation to accept it as a consideration for the supply of goods and services. Means this voucher can be used against next time when you go for shopping, you can use this voucher for procuring the goods and services, and it will be treated as a consideration. Consideration means anything in return. Okay. Not possible to determine. Now what is this not possible to determine? So section 12 subsection 5 is telling us that if a particular supplier is not able to determine the time of supply, he is finding the difficulty in determining the time of supply under section 12 subsection 2, section 12 subsection 3, section 12 subsection 4, then he will be having a time of supply, okay, which we will be seeing under this particular section. Next, in residual cases. Residual cases means some additional amount that is being taken, what is going to be the time of supply. This we will be covering in the succeeding slides. Moving ahead. Before understanding the concept of time of supply, it is very important you know section 31, because section 31 is the base, connecting base to section 12, that is time of supply for goods as well as services. So section 31 tells us that what is the time limit for issuing a tax invoice for goods. See, suppose if I am a supplier and I am supplying goods. So I have supplied goods to, suppose, ABC Limited. Now I have supplied the goods as on 4th August 2020. I have already supplied the goods. Now, can I issue the invoice for the transaction anytime I wish? No, there is certain time limit for issuing the invoice. So up to what is the time limit up to which I can issue the invoice if I am supplying goods? So let us see. Section 31 subsection 1 says that a registered person supplying taxable goods shall issue tax invoice. Time limit for issuing tax invoice before or at the time of. If the supplies involving movement of goods, so when you will issue a tax invoice at the time of removal of goods or either before that, and in any other case delivery of goods. Now let me give an example for this. Suppose as in my previous example I told you, I am a person, a supplier who is supplying goods to ABC Limited, and I supplied it on 4th August 2020. Now ABC Limited is saying, Madam, I am going to come to your premises, to your factory and collect the goods. Okay, I am going to come to your factory and collect the goods. So in that case, it is any other case. Am I moving the goods from my factory up to his premises? No. So it is any other case. At that time, the time of issuing invoice will be delivery of goods. So on 4th August, when he is going to come to my premises, I am handing over the goods. So I am delivering the goods. So I have to issue the tax invoice either at the time of delivery of goods. For example, you go to a mobile shop and you buy a cell phone. Now there is no movement that the person, the mobile shopkeeper is not going to come to your place to collect, to give you the cell phone. So he is delivering the cell phone in his showroom itself to you. So what does he do? Before he hands over the cell phone to you, he makes the bill, he makes the invoice. So what is the time limit? At the time of before delivering the goods to you, he is making the invoice. So invoice has to always be issued at the time of delivery of goods. Now what is this? Supply involves movement of goods, then the time limit for issuing invoice will be removal of goods. See, whenever there is a movement of goods, means what? ABC Limited is telling me that I cannot come up to your factory to collect the goods, so please deliver the goods to me, okay, up to my premises. Okay, so what I do today, suppose if I don't have the transportation facility, tomorrow or maybe after some days I will deliver the goods, okay, to the premises of ABC Limited. So I have a time limit for issuing invoice. Either I can issue the invoice before or at the time of removal of goods, the date the goods are removed from my factory to be shipped or to be transported up to the place of the recipient. So the time limit is before or at the time of removal of goods. I hope you will have understood section 31 subsection 1. Simply quick revision of this is a registered person supplying taxable goods. Okay, obviously an unregistered person is not going to issue a tax invoice. So only a registered person will issue a tax invoice when, suppose if he is delivering the goods, that means if there is a movement of goods from his premises to the recipient's premises, then he has a time limit up to the removal of goods. Either before that he can issue an invoice, or at the day when he is removing the goods, at that day he has to issue the invoice. Now in any other case means where there is no movement of goods, where there is a physical delivery of goods, where the recipient directly comes to the showroom or the shop of the supplier, then before or at the time of delivery of goods. Next, section 31 you all must be wondering where is section 31 subsection 2, 3, 5 and 6. So let me tell you, those sections are for services. For goods, those sections applicable for issuing tax invoice is section 31 subsection 1, section 31 subsection 4 and section 31 subsection 7. Now, next case is if there is a continuous supply of goods, what is the time limit of issuing invoice? Now, what do you mean by continuous supply of goods? Continuous supply of goods means nothing but suppose if there is a contractor and he is into the construction business, so he requires cement bags on a regular basis because of in order to construct a flat or a apartment, it is not doesn't happen in 1 month period. So there is a 6 months or at least 7 months period which requires the completion of the work. So suppose if the contractor wants cement bags from the cement supplier, so he will want it on a continuous basis. As and when his requirement occurs, he will want the supply of cement bags on a continuous basis. So continuous supply of goods means where the same goods are supplied on a recurrent or a continuous basis. Now in such a case, what is going to be the time limit for issuing tax invoice? Each such successive payment is issued or each such payment is received, whichever is earlier. Now what do you mean by this? Suppose if I am a contractor and I want cement bags on a regular basis. So suppose I have for 2 months I have procured some 300 bags. So I am going to issue a statement to the supplier stating that this is the amount of bags taken, or each such payment is received as and when I make the payment. Because it is on a continuous basis, I require the same material again and again, so I will not pay all the amount together, I will pay the payment as and when. So in case of continuous supply of goods, the time limit of issuing tax invoices, each successive statement is issued or each such payment is received as the case may be. Next, section 31 subsection 7 is in case goods sent on approval or return basis before the supplier. Now what is the meaning of this? Usually when you go to the shop, you buy some dress material and then you tell the shopkeeper that can I take this home, and after taking it home I will show it to my parents, and if they like it I will keep it, otherwise I will return it. So here you are taking the goods on approval or return basis. That means when you are taking the goods, you are not sure whether you are going to retain it or going to return it back. You have taken it on the basis that you may return it or you may accept it. So in such cases where there is no complete sale happening here, the goods have been sent on approval or return basis. So in such scenario, when should the tax invoice be issued? Before or at the time of supply of goods, or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. Before or at the time of supply of goods means what? Suppose I have taken the goods and the dress material and I tell that I'll show it to my parents. And I show it to my parents after 2 days they tell me yes, you can keep the dress material. So after 2 days I give him a confirmation that yes, I'm accepting the goods and it is a complete sale. So it is before or at the time of supply he can issue, the supplier can issue the tax invoice, or 6 months from the date of removal. Means I have not given any confirmation to the supplier and 6 months have passed from the date I have taken the goods from the shop of the supplier to my house. So whichever is earlier, that on that date the tax invoice has to be issued by the supplier. I hope you all know who is a supplier and who is a recipient. Supplier means in relation to any goods and services, means the person who is supplying the goods and services, and recipient means the person who is liable to pay the consideration, or person to whom goods are to be delivered or services are to be rendered, he becomes the recipient. So under all these sections, for the purpose of your exam, section 31 subsection 1 is more important, so you can concentrate more on only this section, section 31 subsection 1. So why did I, before going to the forward charge, reverse charge, time of supply, why did I deal with this section? Because this section is the base for understanding the provisions under section 12. Section 12 is nothing but time of supply for goods. So let us see time of supply of goods in case of forward charge. Time of supply in case of goods for forward charge is earlier of two dates. So it is date of issue of invoice by the supplier or last date on which the invoice ought to be issued under section 31. Now we have already seen section 31. Section 31 says that if it is a registered person supplying taxable goods, and suppose if there is a delivery movement of goods, then when is the time limit to issue tax invoice? At the time of movement or before that. And suppose in any other case it will be, in any other case it is going to be the delivery of goods at the time that you are delivering the goods, this section. So this section keep in mind. So time of supply is earlier of two dates, either the date of issue of invoice by the supplier or the last date on which this invoice ought to have been issued under section 31, or date of receipt of payment with respect to supplier. Receipt of payment means I am a supplier and I am receiving the payment. So date on which I am receiving the payment. Now among these two dates, whichever is earlier date, that date is going to be time of supply. And you all know what is time of supply. It is nothing but point in time where the liability to pay the taxes arises. So let us see a problem on time of supply of goods under forward charge. Now you must know the section for this in order to solve any problem under forward charge. So what is the section? We'll quickly revise. In case of goods for forward charge, it is going to be date of issue of invoice or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. So let us see the problem. A machine has to be supplied at site. It is done by sourcing various components from vendors and assembling the machine at site. The details of various events are: determine the time of supplies in the above scenario for the purpose of payment of tax. 17th September, the purchase order with advance of 50,000 is received for goods worth rupees 12 lakhs and entry is duly made in the seller's book of account. On 20th October, the machine is assembled, tested at site and accepted by the buyer. On 23rd October, invoice is being raised. On 4th November, the balance payment of 11,50,000 is being received. So they are asking, in this scenario, when is the supplier liable to pay the tax to the government? When is the time of supply? So based on section 12 subsection 2, let us find the solution. The time of supply of goods for the entire amount of 12 lakhs is 20th October. It is 20th October. Let us see why. Being the date on which the goods are made available to the recipient as per section 31 subsection 1b, and the invoice should have been raised on this date. See students, we have seen section 12 subsection 2, which says that the time of supply in case of forward charge is going to be the date of issue of invoice. Now what is the date of issue of invoice? 23rd October. Or the date on which the invoice ought to be issued. Ought to be issued as per section 31. Now section 31 says that the invoice should be issued, okay, at the time of delivery, if there is a movement of goods before or at the time of movement of goods, or in any other case at the time of delivery of goods. Now here the machine, see 20th October, the machine is assembled, tested at site and accepted by the buyer. Means on 20th October you have handed over the machine to the buyer's premises, you have settled and assembled the machine on buyer's premises. So it is, or the date when the payment is being received. Payment is received, full payment is received on 4th November. Now if you go back, it is date on issue of invoice by the supplier or date on which the invoice ought to be have issued as per section 31. So, or date of payment of receipt of payment. Now among these dates, which is the most earlier date? The earlier date is 20th October. That is the date of time of supply for goods for the entire amount of 12 lakhs. Because we have already seen section 31 subsection 1b, which says that invoice, if there is a delivery of goods, movement of goods, then the date when you are removing the goods, the invoice ought to be issued, or when there is no movement of goods, that is in any other case, the time of delivery of goods. Next, let us see time of supply of goods under reverse charge. As you already know, reverse charge is nothing but where the recipient is liable to pay to the tax government. So in such case, when is the point of time where the recipient is required to pay tax to the government? Time of supply is earlier of below dates. Date on which goods are received. Now suppose I am the recipient, I am liable to pay tax to the government, so I fall under reverse charge. Now date on which goods are received. So date on which I receive the goods from the supplier. Next, or date on which the payment is recorded in the books of accounts, or date on which payment is debited from the bank account. So the date I record the payment, obviously if I am procuring the goods, I have to make the payment to the supplier. So the date I am recording that payment in my books of accounts, recipient's books of accounts, or date on which the payment is debited from the bank account, or date after 30 days from the issue of invoice by the supplier. So supplier has already issued invoice, and after, suppose if issues the invoice on 1st August, so after 30 days from the issue of invoice, that is 31st August. So whichever is the earlier date, that date will be the time of supply in case of reverse charge. Now, in case if these events are not ascertainable, then time of supply is nothing but date of entry of goods in the books of accounts of the recipient of goods. Suppose if you are not able to find out what is the time of supply, date on which the goods are received, or date on which the payment is recorded, or date of issue of invoice by the supplier, then only this has to be followed. That is, if none of the events are ascertainable, then date of entry of goods in the books of accounts of recipient of the goods. So the date when I am entering the purchase, the goods as purchases in my books, the recipient books, that will be the date of time of supply. Let us see a problem on time of supply. Time of supply of goods, reverse charge. Determine the time of supply for the given information. May 4, supplier invoices goods taxable on reverse charge basis to Bridge and Company. 30 days from the date of issuance of invoice lapse on June 3. May 12, Bridge and Company receives the goods. May 30, Bridge and Company makes the payment. Now we have the date of payment, we have the date of receipt of goods. Okay, we have the date of 30 days from the completion of the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. And students, always remember, if it is reverse charge, it will be specifically mentioned in the problem that it is a reverse charge sum. So let us see solution. The time of supply of goods is 12th May. Being the earliest of the 3 stipulated dates, namely the receipt of goods, the date of payment of, and the date immediately following 30 days of issuance of invoice. So obviously June 3, you have to compare June 3, May 12 and May 30. Which is the earlier date? May 12. Therefore May 12 will be the time of supply in case of reverse charge in this particular problem. Next, what is going to be the time of supply of goods in case of vouchers? Now if supply is identifiable at the point, time of supply will be the date of issue of voucher. If the supply is not identifiable at the time, means in all other cases it is going to be the date of redemption of voucher. Now let us understand what is the meaning of identifiable at the point. I give you all an example. Suppose you all go to Big Bazaar you'll get a voucher from Big Bazaar, and the voucher specifically mentions that this particular gift voucher can be redeemed. Redeemed means you can use this voucher, okay, against the purchase of shoes only, or against the purchase of clothing only. So now when you're issuing the voucher, when the Big Bazaar owner is issuing the voucher, he knows what is going to be the supply. Obviously shoes. So if supply is identifiable at that point, at which point when the supplier is issuing the voucher, time of supply will be the date of issue of voucher. Identifiable at that point, again I repeat, means when the supplier is issuing you the voucher, giving you the voucher, and it is clearly mentioned in the voucher that you can redeem only shoes against this voucher, or only a particular product under this voucher. So the supplier knows that there is going to be a sale of shoes or that particular product. So in that case it is going to be time of supply will be date of issue of voucher. But in all other cases, suppose they just give you a voucher of 5,000 and you can redeem anything. You can purchase anything against that voucher. Anything means it can be the shoes, clothing, accessories, utensils, anything can be procured against that particular voucher. So does the supplier know when he is issuing voucher what will you purchase? No. So in that case where the supplier doesn't know what is going to be redeemed against that voucher, so that is in all other cases, it is going to be date of redemption of voucher. Redemption means the date when the purchaser is going to purchase something against that voucher, is going to exchange something against that voucher. So that is going to be the date of redemption of voucher. So the date when the purchaser is going to purchase something against that voucher, that is going to be time of supply in case the supply is not identifiable at the time of issue of vouchers. So quick recap of this: in case of vouchers, if supply is identifiable, like if the supplier knows what is going to be redeemed against that voucher, it is going to be the date of issue of voucher. Now if he doesn't know at the time of issuing voucher that what will be redeemed, then it will be time of supply will be date of redemption of voucher. Now let us see a problem on it. Carver's Limited sells food coupons to a company which gives these to its employees as a part of agreed perquisites. The coupons can be redeemed for purchase of any item of food provisions in the outlets that are part of the program. What is the time of supply? So let us see the solution. The time of supply is the date of redemption of that particular food coupon. See, food coupon is nothing but vouchers. Now why? Because as the supply against which the coupon will be redeemed is not known on the date of sale of the coupon, the time of supply of the coupon will be the date on which the employee redeems it against the foods or provision items of his choice. See, here they are food coupons, but here Carver's Limited doesn't know that what is going to be redeemed by the employees, what food item is going to be redeemed by the employees, or what provision facilities are going to be redeemed by the employees. He is not sure. There are so many foodstuffs, there are so many provisions provided. Among that, what has to be selected, that is unknown. So when the supply is not identifiable, the time of supply will be date of redemption of voucher. So the date when the employee goes and purchases some food items against that voucher, that food coupon, that will be the date of time of supply. Next, time of supply of goods if it is not possible, section 12 subsection 5, that is, suppose it is not possible, you are not able to determine the time of supply under section 12 subsection 2, which is forward charge, section 12 subsection 3, which is reverse charge, section 12 subsection 4, which is vouchers. Then what he will do? Then the time of supply of goods not possible, then suppose in case the supplier is filing a periodical return is filed, date on which such return is to be filed. When is filing the GST returns periodically, so the date when is filing such return will be the time of supply, and in any other case the date on which the tax is to be paid. GST taxes are usually paid monthly, that is 20th of the succeeding month. So suppose if it is an August month, so August month the GST payable will be paid in the month of September 20th. So suppose if he is not able to determine the time of supply in any of these cases, then the date on which the tax is to be paid will be the time of supply. Next, time of supply of goods in residual cases. Now residual cases means addition in value. Now what do you mean by addition in value? Let us see. Addition in value means by the way of interest, penalty, late fee in delayed payment of any consideration. So I hope you have understood the meaning of this. Suppose I have a showroom of cell phones and I sell the cell phones worth rupees 50,000, and I tell the purchaser that you have a credit period of only 3 months, and after 3 months if you fail to pay the amount of 50,000, I am going to charge you an interest. Okay, now interest in respect of that interest, when is going to be the time of supply, that is addition in value. 50,000 is the value, but if I charge some additional amount in way of interest, penalty, late fee because of some consideration which is not received in time, so what is going to be the time of supply for such addition in value? Time of supply will be the date on which supplier receives such addition in value. Suppose 50,000, if the purchaser is not paying me within 3 months, I am going to charge him an interest of suppose 1,000 rupees. So the date when I receive this 1,000 rupees will be the time of supply for only the addition in value. And for that 50,000, you have to see section 12 subsection 2, that is under forward charge. So remember that time of supply in case of addition in value will be the date on which supplier receives such addition in value. So let us see a problem on this. Radha Traders sold goods to Shyam Sales on 6th June with the condition that interest at the rate of 2% per month will be charged if Shyam Sales failed to make payment within 15 days of delivery of goods. So here what Radha Traders is telling, I am selling you the goods, okay, you have to make the payment within 15 days, and if you fail to make the payment within 15 days, we will be charging an interest of 2% per month. Goods were delivered as also the invoice was issued on the 6th June, the date when the goods were sold, that day only invoice was being issued. Shyam Sales paid the consideration for the goods on 6th July. Now he exceeded the 15 days period along with applicable interest. So what is going to be the time of supply? Now time of supply for goods sold will be 6th June. This which section we are following? Normally this is the normal goods that are sold, that value. We have to see section 12 subsection 2, that is under forward charge, because if nothing is mentioned, like reverse charge is not mentioned, voucher is not mentioned, then obviously you have to by default follow section 12 subsection 2. So section 12 subsection 2 says that here the goods are sold also on 6th June, the invoice also is issued on 6th June. So section 12 subsection 2 says that it is the date on which the invoice is issued or ought to be issued, or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Now payment is received on 6th July, invoice is issued on 6th June, whichever is earlier date, 6th June. Now next, time of supply for addition in value. Now addition in value is the interest for the delayed payment of consideration. So in case of addition in value, time of supply is always going to be the date when such value, addition in value, is received. So Shyam Sale paid the consideration for goods on 6th July along with applicable interest. So on 6th July, Radha Traders received the interest. So time of supply for addition in value is the date when such interest has been received, that is 6th July. So time of supply for goods sold is the date of issue of invoice. that is 6th June, and the time of supply for addition in value by the way of interest is the date on which such addition in value is received by Radha Traders, which is 6th July. So this was the provision relating to addition in value. Thank you students, we have completed the revision for time of supply for goods. In our next video lecture, we will be seeing time of supply for services. If you all are thorough with the provisions and section, you can solve any problem based on that particular section. Thank you so much students.